Is politics as dirty as the perceptions out there?
I don't know, because I'm not a politician, I'm a freedom fighter. What they needed to do was to engage me on what I said I want to do, rather than to engage me on who I was once married to, not even married to at the time, once married to. And how do you become superior to somebody who gave birth to you, who fed you when you couldn't feed yourself, bathed you when you couldn't bath yourself, who nurtured you until you are the man you are, and suddenly that person is inferior to you? How does that work? I don't really want to comment on the GNU because I'm not in it. So,
by choice or by circumstance? Welcome back to Palatable Politics, where we make politics palatable. With me, your host, TJ Maslela. Welcome to the show. We've got a special guest today, where we're going to be discussing her life, her career, her journey, how she has broken through barriers, patriarchal barriers, integrity barriers, how she's led an amazing life, and also part of celebrating Women's Month. Our guest is none other than Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. Welcome to the show, Ma.
Thank you for having me.
Can we start by asking, why politics?
Well, I think maybe if I grew up during this time, I'm not sure whether I would have been in politics. But at the time, it became very clear to me that the regime that was there needed to be overthrown, and that all of us must contribute to the overthrowing of the apartheid regime. And that's why I went into politics. But also my lived experience said I must go into politics.
Do you have a moment that you were like, this and no further? This is now, I'm actively getting into it.
Yes, I was at high school at the time. At the high school I was at, there were white and black teachers. And there was a white and a black tea room. So, but the person who made tea was the same. So he made tea in the white staff room and then go to the black staff room. And then this particular day, he found that there were a cup short in the black staff room. But in the white staff room, there were many cups. So he went up to get an extra cup, gave it to one of the teachers. And as the teacher was drinking, a white teacher came and just stood in front of him until he finished drinking. Then when he put the cup down, he took the cup and smashed it on the floor and said, so that it never makes its way back to the white staff room. And so the teacher, his name was Mhluli, was our teacher. So after tea, he came very upset. So we asked him, why do you look so upset? So he told us this story. And that's when I said, this cannot be. There were many others, but this was just the one that said, no, we can't go on like this. We have to change this system.
So from there, can you walk us through now your journey into politics? How you got in first or two deployments?
Well, I went to University of Zululand to start with. I did a BSc degree. Whilst I was there, the South African Student Organization was established, SASO. So that's when I actively joined politics. I became a member of SASO. Then when I went to medical school, I continued being a member of SASO. Eventually, I was elected as vice president of SASO. When I left the country, I was actually vice president of SASO. And whilst I was a member of SASO, I decided that SASO is not enough. I should join the liberation movements. So one time we were visiting our university was visiting the university in Swaziland. And that's when we connected with ANC. And then when I came back, I was then in an ANC cell underground whilst I was at university. And unfortunately, the person who was our contact was arrested. And so they got to know about us. So they were looking for us. So I escaped the country to join the ANC outside.
When you became vice president of SASU, were women already being open, or patriarchy at that, had it not intercepted there yet? Or
in SASU, patriarchy wasn't very strong.
Okay.
I wasn't the first
Okay.
vice president of SASU. There had been another woman before me. Women were participating actively and were all students. And so there was no real discrimination that women... I was the secretary of the MSRC, Medical SRC. So I didn't feel a lot of patriarchy within the student movement.
Okay, so there's, now you leave the country, exile, and you... Okay, before we come to 94, I know there's a lot that happened there. What's the best, happiest, and the worst, saddest moment that you had in your period in exile?
Well, in exile, when I got there, there was a month or so later, there was a summit, a special summit of the OAU, Organization of African Unity. So the ANC put me in the delegation to attend that summit.
Who was leading ANC at this point? Who was the leader of ANC at this point?
It was Oliver Tambo was the leader. Alfred Nzo was the Secretary General. So we went with the Secretary General and others to the summit. And little did I know that the ANC, because it was a summit, a special summit in solidarity with what was happening in South Africa with the Soweto uprising, then they decided I'm the one who's going to speak at the summit on behalf of the ANC. Well, I did, but it was a big surprise for me that I must speak on behalf of the ANC. And from that time on, I didn't go back to Tanzania. I was sent to there was a Pan-African Students' Union then.
Okay.
There was a meeting in Ghana, so I went to Ghana. Then from Ghana, I was sent to Czechoslovakia. It was Czechoslovakia then. Then from there, I was sent to Europe. From there, I went to London, doing solidarity work, talking about the struggle. And then in London, the chief rep there requested the ANC that I don't go back, I stay there. The ANC said, it's fine, I can stay there as long as he can arrange that I complete my medical studies. And then I completed my medical studies there. But for me, the most, what can I say, exciting time I had was when there was a festival in Cuba.
Okay. And
the festival was for all young people. It was a youth festival. So I was part of that festival. And I became interested also in their health system because, but also the festival was not just music, it was everything. It was political discussions, it was education, it was about everything. And so I got very impressed. I'd read about Che Guevara and about this Cuban struggle, but to be physically there for me was one of the very exciting times.
So just clarity, how old were you when you made the opening? Well, sorry, not opening, when you made the speech at the summit?
Oh, I was old. I was 20, 26. Around.
For a stage like that, that's pretty young. And then?
Maybe 27.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then the heartbreaking or the more painful experience of your time there?
Well, there were a number of things that were heartbreaking besides the death of my father. And I couldn't go and I couldn't bury him. But when our comrades were killed at various times, and when I was in Swaziland, working as a doctor, but working for ANC Underground, there was a Natal machinery that I worked with. It was based in Swaziland. And then they were called to Mozambique for discussion and report. And they were massacred by the regime. A number of them never came back. They were, about 12 of them were killed. That was very, very painful.
Yeah. I know lots of people that must.
There were others. I'm just mentioning one. It was painful because they'd said to me, comrades were going to come from home if they come before they come back from Mozambique. I must call them so that at least they can send someone to meet with them. When I called, I was told, no, they are on their way. So they'll be in Swaziland by the following morning. So fine. Then they don't arrive in the morning. I don't hear from them. But then I hear in the news that there's been a massacre. So then I thought, well, maybe they are busy calling Mozambique. That's why they're not coming to me. Then I decided at lunchtime to call Mozambique. And then I'm told, no, they were killed. So I said, but they were supposed to be arriving here. Apparently, one of the people who worked with us was a spy. So he said to them, no, there is no car that's going to meet them at the border on that day. They must leave the following day. Whereas he was arranging with the Boers for their massacre. So that was one of the very, very painful experiences. Went to the funeral and yeah, it was tough.
Did you have any close calls where you almost died, shot at?
When I was in the UK, I was staying in an apartment, but there were it was like an estate of apartments. Okay. So I was in one of the apartments and I was sleeping. And then suddenly my bedroom had a door like this, and a window, a glass on top. So I see there's light. And I say to myself, but I switched off the light. Why is there light there? Then I think, oh, maybe is there a thief who has come in and has switched on the light? So then I think, what do I do? Do I confront or do I not? So something in me says, no, confront. So I open, only to find that it's a fire. So I then opened and went to the gate to the security to ask them to call the fire brigade. But I inhaled smoke as well. Then the fire brigade came and then the police came to investigate. Later they told me that it was linked to politics. It was, they'd thrown something on maybe that
bottle.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. Yeah.
And made sure that they thought I was going to burn and die inside. But just by a stroke of luck, I happened to open my eyes and I see a light there. And that's what saved me.
Happy that happened, that you woke up and you survived and that you're here now.
Yes, I survived. I went to hospital because I had inhaled smoke, but I was fine.
Before we move on, so you indicated that it was under the era of Ora Tambo who there are many great stories told about him and the type of man and leader that he was. Which women leaders were there during that time?
Oh, there were lots. Mashope was one of them. Florence Maposha was one of them. Even Adelaide Tambo was there. Ruth Mombati. There were many.
And
Yes.
which ones did you look up to, or which ones inspired you?
All of them in their various ways.
Okay. So now there's about a date. We've won this. Godesa. There's the election, and we're coming into a. Can we call it a government of national unity?
Then,
Yes. Then.
yes.
Okay. And I mean, we have it now, but we will come to this one. How was that for you?
Well, maybe before we get to the government of
Okay.
national unity, during the Codesa itself, the ANC, every region, you remember that time we didn't have provinces, we had regions. I was in Southern Natal region. We had what we called forums, negotiation forums. We used to come to head office and then the negotiators will tell us where things are and we will make our input. So this particular day, they make an input that one of the inputs they make is that they've agreed on a sunset clause for the civil servants who were the apartheid civil servants. So then I ask, if there is a sunset clause, where is the sunrise clause? Because if there is sunset, there must be sunrise. And then others started laughing, but I said, no, I'm serious. If we're saying there's a sunset clause, there must be a sunrise clause. That's my input from my region. So when I then became Minister of Health, I looked for the sunrise clause and it was there and I used it. It helped me a lot.
So, what was the sunrise clause?
The sunrise clause was you can retrench in the interest of transformation. Because if not, I would not have been able to bring in progressive people into the department. Because when I arrived in the department, there were only 2 vacant posts. But because of the sunrise clause, I was able to use it to get in new people.
If I'm not mistaken, there was also a incident at Codesa where were protesting because of a lack of participation of women.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Initially, there were no female negotiators. And we said to the ANC, how can this be? Then the ANC took the matter to Codesa. Other parties said, no, what do women know about negotiations? We can't have women. They brought their response to us. We said, okay, go and say to them, If they don't have women, it's fine. But if there are 4 negotiators on a subject, there must be 2-2. 2 women, 2 men. Those who don't have women, they'll only have 2 negotiators instead of 4. Okay. Then they took it there. It was difficult. And then you remember there was a break in the negotiations, or maybe you were too young.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There was a break in the negotiations because of what was called Boibotong massacre. People were massacred in Boibotong. And then there was a break in negotiations. There was a adjournment until that matter was dealt with. So we, led by Mam Shop, we said this is our time to insist on having women negotiators. We're going to go on the first day they restart the negotiations. We're going to sit in until they agree. They can, unless they kill us. So they started having women were going to come from all over the country. So when they realized that it was serious, women were now coming, they agreed to have 2-2. And even those parties that said they didn't have women, they had them.
And then one of the outcomes was the sunrise clause of that.
No. The sunrise clause was not in the negotiation. It was in the ANC forum.
The ANC.
It.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Initially, they said there must be a gender advisory committee. I was asked to sit in that committee. And then we were sitting and we asked ourselves, what the hell are we doing here? Advisory. It means whatever we say, they can accept or reject. So we don't want this. That's when we said, no, there must be female negotiators.
Where did the strength come from? Because I know one thing that I personally also experience it. Sometimes it's a thing of, okay, let's advise here, or this we can do. Yeah, you advocate. But from how you're speaking, it seems that there was a level of, I wouldn't say defiance, but it was there was strength that, look, this is happening.
Yes. I think it was because women that time, we were more united, even across parties. Because we had said the women issues are the same, whichever party you may be belonging to, but they are the same. So that's why we had to work together. So it was not difficult. It was not like it's a party position. It was our position in that committee. We said, no, there must be women negotiators. I did not become a women negotiator, but I fought. We fought. As part of the ANC, as part of the women, even the gender advisory committee, we fought and said, no, this thing is useless because we come after the fact in the first place. They will decide, and then we look at them and we advise them that, no, it's not gender sensitive. Are they going to accept our advice? So we then said, no, we are not advisors. There must be negotiators. That's why Comrade Balega and Mavivi became both the ANC Women's League and the Gender Advisory were saying, no, there must be women negotiators. Yeah. And so in the GNU, it wasn't difficult because we had the majority anyway. And also we had ANC policies. For instance, in health, I just took the health policy and integrated it into being a departmental policy. And that way, I was able to then have a new organogram to say, well, this is new policy. There is a new organogram. So everybody must apply for positions.
I assume there, especially the Department of Health, there would have been old white male doctors, old white men. How did you navigate that?
Well, I've always tried just to do what needs to be done.
Okay. Just
and to
focus on
say
the
what
business.
needs to be said, whether it's a man or a woman. But I must admit that the DG, the white DG that I found there, I would say had really crossed. He was very responsive to what I would say. He just said to me, "Oh, you are a dark horse." So I said, "Why?" He said, "No, we were given 3 names of people who might become ministers of health. Your name was not one of them." So I said, "Well, it's what it is." But he really was very helpful, I must say. He was helpful. He even was helpful about how to deal with Parliament and how to deal with questions in Parliament. And he used to say, the idea is to answer the question. How you answer it is up to you. And that helped me a lot.
That sounds like a politician in administration.
That helped me a lot because I wouldn't have known. So he said, no, as long as you have answered the question, Parliament expects you to answer the question. How you answer it, it's your call.
So I know you said the GNU then. Yes, we had majority. So ANC had majority, and it was a bit more inclusion, right? It was more inclusion of other political parties for harmony.
Yeah, there was the DA. No, not the DA, the National Party, yes. And the IFP and the ANC. There were 3 of us. But the majority was ANC because it was proportionate to the votes you got and the MPs you have.
Did the political parties get along then, or we didn't see it because it didn't matter?
We had policies that we had to implement.
Okay.
We came with our policies. And yes, sometimes there were differences, but we were able to navigate.
Okay.
And the president, deputy president, and we were able to navigate difficult situations.
Is politics as dirty as the perceptions out there?
I don't know, because I'm not a politician. I'm a freedom fighter. So I've never been a politician. I don't act as a politician. I don't know what it is to be a politician. I'm a freedom fighter.
So you've always you have a mandate. That's what you're there to do.
Yes.
Who says that's
and
it,
if I believe in something, I say it, whether it may be affect me negatively, whatever. But if I believe in it, I believe in it.
Note, guys. Note. We should be like that too. So now let's touch on term and AU. Due to time, won't go into depth. But how did they receive you as a woman leader? Did they receive you as a woman leader, or did they receive you as a leader?
They received me as a leader.
Would you say we, as a continent, are ready?
Well, I think my advantage was that I'd been a foreign minister for 10 years.
Okay.
So they knew me as a foreign minister. And so when I came, it wasn't like it's got to do with gender or whatever. They knew me as a foreign minister. And also, the advantage was that I was a candidate for SADC. The people who campaigned, yes, South Africans also campaigned, but other SADC countries campaigned. So it was a SADC candidate, a former foreign minister. So I don't think they were looking at me necessarily as a woman. But the women also did a lot to campaign. The different women's organizations like the Pan-African Women's Organization, also some of their members were campaigning, talking to their heads of state and so on. So, but I don't think they received me as a woman. I was a leader who happens to be a woman.
Shout outs to them. Now you come back and you enter the contest for ANC presidency. What made you take that decision to accept?
Well, comrades were insisting that, they really think I should be. So eventually I agreed. Yeah.
And I guess it's one of those, but what would you say your primary one or two goals that you're like?
Well, I'd really wanted to transform the economy. That was my main thrust. Also, of course, in that, ensure that women and youth are part of the economy. Also, our education. I wanted to ensure that young people are skilled. Because even today, the majority of young people who are unemployed are unemployable because a lot of them don't have skills. Because the economy these days needs skills, different skills. You can't be a plumber if you haven't studied to be a plumber. You can't fix electricity and be an electrician if you haven't studied. You can't put up ceilings if you haven't. So, yes, we need engineers, we need technicians, we need all that, but we also need artisans. And we need to skill people to be artisans. In technology, in every aspect of life, we need to have artisans.
Taking it a step back to transforming the economy, there was the RET, Radical Economic Transformation. How would you summarize as to what that meant?
That meant that we had to industrialize. That meant that we had to beneficiate our minerals here in the country and not export jobs that go with beneficiating, not export revenue that go with, because if you sell raw, you sell cheap, you buy expensive. That meant that we had to build our infrastructure, our rail had to be revamped, not only for goods, but even for passengers. That meant we even wanted to have a high-speed rail between the major cities. Okay. So,
like a how train or one up on that? I'm saying just like the how train or something different?
A high-speed rail. That will go at 200 or more kilometers an hour. Right?
Okay.
That can move from here to Durban in 3 hours.
Legally? Yeah, legally.
Yeah, that's what a high-speed rail is. So it would have just meant really transforming the economy and making sure that young people and women have access to finance, because they have good ideas, but they find it very difficult to access finance. So it would have meant just looking at the entire Economy.
You know, in what you were saying, it reminded me of one of the platforms where you were saying the whole transformation that we can't export wood all the time and buy back furniture.
Furniture, yes. That's what transforming the economy would have meant.
So now, as the campaign goes on, there is now talk of, no, Zuma wants to lead through the grave. Former President Zuma wants to lead through the grave. There's, are we ready for a woman leader? All those things. How did you feel about that? Because I don't recall any of your engagements when you were campaigning having mentioned or touched these things, but somehow it's there.
Yeah, they were just sexist things that were said by those who couldn't put a political argument against what I was saying. So the easiest thing was to say she's X, this, and, and I didn't think I want to go down to that level and debate with them at that level where they were. Because what they needed to do was to engage me on what I said I want to do, rather than to engage me on who I was once married to, not even married to at the time, once married to. I thought they were just sexist and didn't have proper arguments.
What was the relationship between you and your ex-husband at the time?
He's the father of my children. That's it. That's the relationship.
Yeah, but everyone made it seem... There's like, but if anyone's... I mean, one, your track record speaks for itself, but like you're saying, you were also very stern and no nonsense in your track record. So, yeah, I won't lie. I didn't understand it either. And then there comes, fine, we go to, the campaigning's done, we go to conference, and your numbers, you were going to win. Mm-hmm. You had basically won. And then what happened?
I don't know.
Okay. The rumors of the late, may his soul rest in peace, DP, shifting to the now, shifting to CR. Were there any signs?
I don't like talking about dead people.
Okay.
So I don't know what happened.
Okay.
But I lost. That's what was announced, that I lost.
Would you contest again?
I don't think so.
Okay. And then how was your relationship with him before he passed? Had you guys reconciled?
With who?
With the late DP.
I never had a problem with him. People are free to behave the way they want to behave. When I grew up, my mother was very strict. Those days we were. And she would beat you up. You cry, you run outside. After a few minutes, she will call you back. And if you show any sign of sulking, she beats you up again. And she says, in Zulu, you don't sulk. Something happens, it's happened. You should be fine. And you'll cry, she'll call you back. As long as you don't show a smile, you'll get a hiding. So I grew up like that. I don't hold any grudge. It doesn't mean I forget things, but I don't hold a grudge. I don't have anyone that I say, I don't speak to. If you don't want to speak to me, it's your problem. I'll greet you. If you don't greet back, it's your problem, not mine.
Very side question. Would you be for, I know now it's illegal to hit kids or corporal punishment. Would you be for that?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
I think if you sit down your kids and you tell them what is wrong and what is right, and they know you are serious, they are able to listen and to do the right thing. But at those days, that's what was done. It wasn't illegal. That's what was done. And they didn't do it out of hatred. They did it out of love. Even at school.
Discipline.
Even at school,
Yeah. So post-conference, no? Then the new government is formed. You are mandated with COCTA and...
No, I was mandated with DPME.
DPME?
And planning, monitoring and evaluation for 1 year.
Okay, yes. Sorry, and then went to COCTA.
Yes.
And then COVID, which you led us through that. Yeah, you did a job. You did a job, especially a job of the unknown. I mean, yes, there have been pandemics before, but nothing like that in our life or in my lifetime. So props to you. And I guess you've answered it slightly, but how were you able to? Last conference, it's done. Whether there's betrayal, whether there were lies, whether they were, deceived, anything like that, but you go on with the task. How?
Well, there was a conference. The results of the conference came out. Life continues.
What was the toughest thing about maneuvering us through COVID?
It was just making those announcements for regulations that were not popular. But it wasn't my decision, it was a collective decision. But I had to do the regulations, sign the regulations, announce them. And of course they were not popular because we'd never had a pandemic like that. We'd never gone through that. It was the first time for all of us, population and government. And there were some things that people felt, why should we do this? Why should we? But it was all about trying to reduce the number of people who would be affected. And unfortunately, some of them passed away, and we lost quite a few people through the pandemic. But if we hadn't done the things we did, we'd probably have lost much more.
And it's a bit of a thankless job, but thank you.
Oh, most jobs are thankless until afterwards. At the time, people don't see the value, but after they can see that it was helpful.
One of the things the president said during that time was that COVID presented us with an opportunity to restructure the economy. I'm not going to go into how well or not well we've done there, but what are some of the things you think we could have or could still do to systematically and structurally change the economy to ensure that women are an integral part of it?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, access to finance is very important, because if a woman has a business idea but she can't back it with cash, then it doesn't go anywhere. But I also think that we need to support, say, women in the rural areas. We buy chickens from outside the country. Why can't we support women and young people to breed chickens in the country. So I think there are some of the easy things that we can do. And that way, we empowering communities, women, youth, and they have a living, they have a business. And now, with the Africa Continental Free Trade, they can even export within the continent. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just using chicken as an easy example, but agricultural products, furniture, even our own. We could have done our own electric car. You remember? Maybe you won't remember 2011 when we had COP17, I think it was here. Yeah. We had an electric car that was manufactured here, displayed there. It was called Joel, Joel. And we never commercialized it.
Well, what happened to it?
Well, people took the idea, I suppose, and now we're going to be buying other people's electric cars. Instead of us, we could have commercialized it, manufactured the electric car here. We even have the minerals that are used in car batteries for electric cars. We could have done it here. We did it, but we just didn't commercialize it. So there are lots of things that we could still do. Some we could have done.
And I guess we do have an opportunity now with the tariffs from the USA. That is an opportunity to restructure or look for new opportunities.
For me, the biggest opportunity is the Africa Continental Free Trade, because we are talking about a market of over 1.4 billion people. So if we concentrate on trading amongst ourselves, we may not really have a big problem with tariffs from other countries. But if we don't trade amongst ourselves, but to trade, you must manufacture. You must have industries. So we need to make sure that the continent is able to industrialize, is able to manufacture and trade amongst ourselves.
Yeah. Now, but before we go to the last part, the one that I would like to get your views on was, okay, after the whole COVID thing, we went for an election and we got the results we did. We have this GNU. How do you feel about it?
I don't really want to comment on the GNU because I'm not in it. So
by choice or by circumstance?
No, I announced last year that I don't want to be in Parliament. Do you remember when I was supposed to go for an interview for Parliament? I said, no, I'm not going for the interview because I've decided that I do not want to be in Parliament. I do not want to be in government. It is by choice.
Okay. If there was a different outcome, might you have had a different choice?
No, I made that choice before the elections.
Oh, okay. So we're not going to comment on the GNU.
I'd rather not, because I'm not in it. I see it from outside. I see it just from the same position as you see it.
Okay.
Maybe it's better to ask people who are in it.
Okay. Well, definitely. I hope GNU participants have heard that. We'll reach out. Okay. One of the things you mentioned earlier, you said that when there was CODESA and fighting for the participation of women, you said that women were more united back then. Well, you said we're united back then. What would you say the case is now?
Well, I think the problem now is that we We say there should be equality. That's what the Constitution says. The ANC does send 50-50 members of parliament, but the other parties don't. And therefore, our participation in parliament as women is less than 50%.
Okay.
Whereas it should be either 50-50 or more women because we are more in the population. You know, the country that has the most women in parliament, number one, is an African country. Yes.
Which one?
That is number one in the world. It's Rwanda.
Shout out to
The
Rwanda.
participation of women is more than 60% in the Rwandan parliament. So it's possible.
How do we get that?
Well, political parties. It's up to political parties. But it's also up to the population because it's the population that supports political parties. We fight for it, we get it.
You know, throughout your career, I'm saying if there's always been integrity, there's been no scandals. Like you've done the work, like you've been exceptional. What are some of the fundamental principles in life or values, principles, yeah? Huh? Yeah, fundamental principles and values that led you through them?
Maybe one, when I was young, when you were sent to the shop, you were expected to bring back change, even if it was 1 cent. You were not allowed to buy a sweet without having asked. If any of us children did that, you were sent back to the shop to take the sweet back. Because we were told you must never take something that's not yours without asking. And my parents used to say in Zulu, uma ungathembeki esentini uzothembeka kanjani erandini. So that's what guided me. If it's not mine, I can't take it. But also, as a rural person, we used to work hard. You know, during the time of weeding, tlagula in Zulu.
Yeah, the different time for me, yeah.
Yes, maybe we grew up in the city. I grew up in the rural areas. You have to go and remove the weed from the fields. Even if you were at school, weekend, you'll be up at 4 in the morning to go and work. So that by 8, we are back in the house to cook breakfast or whatever needs to be done. But you have been to the field already. So hard work was an integral part of our growing up. And at home, if you say, can I visit my friend? My mother would say, have you done all the chores in the house? And you say, yes, I've finished. And she would say, oh, when did you last clean the windows? So you stay and you... So it was something I grew up with, hard work. But also, my father used to stress education, especially for girls. And he'll say, education is the only thing that nobody can take away from you. Not even a thief can steal it from you. It's yours. And if you don't like a place, you can move. If you have your profession, you can leave and go look for some other job. So he used to stress that and say, especially girls, you mustn't just be in a place because we are looking for a plate of food. So I would say to young girls, education, education, education. Skills, skills, skills. Both to boys and girls. Skills, skills, skills. You mustn't be running to have boyfriends, girlfriends. That thing doesn't run away. You'll find it.
Sure.
But education is a window that closes. So you must concentrate on education. Get a skill. Then you can lead your life.
That's the message you would give to young men and women, youth, etc. What's the message?
And I would say to my colleagues, they'll know. I would say to them, before you shut your eyes at night when you sleep, ask yourself, did I do my best today? That little voice inside will say, yes, if you did your best. If you didn't, it will say, no, you didn't. And if that little voice says you did your best, say, I'll do even better tomorrow. If that little voice says you didn't do your best, say, I will do my best tomorrow. Because nobody expects more than your best. But you are the only one who knows your best. So that's what I used to say to colleagues. Because that's what I used to do myself. Did I do my best? You have to do your best. In whatever job you are doing, you have to do your best.
What's the message you'd give to gatekeepers of patriarchy, of inequality?
I would say there is no country in the world that can develop to its full potential if it leaves women behind. Say we're a soccer-loving country in this country, right? Let's say there's the best team in our country decide to only field half the squad. The worst team will defeat it because it's playing with half the squad. So why do we think we can win if we leave more than 50% of the population out? It's not just, we mustn't do it for women. We do it for the development of the country, for the continent, for the world. We'll never reach the full potential if we leave more than 50% of the population. And that population is also the one that gives birth to the rest.
This is common sense.
And how do you become superior to somebody who gave birth to you, who fed you when you couldn't feed yourself, who bathed you when you couldn't bath yourself, who nurtured you until you are the man you are, and suddenly that person is inferior to you? How does that work? How does it work?
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. But there's something you've said that made me wonder, more so on a woman's side, that there's a role that women play in life in terms of just nurturing. They have that touch, they have that. How does a woman, or what advice would you give to a woman to balance the part of being a nurturer and embracing the femininity in them, but also dealing with the corporate, political, professional side, finding that balance?
You know, women are not only nurturers, they are the anchors in the family.
100%.
They are the leaders of the family.
Seen it in mine.
They are leaders in the community. And research shows that companies that have more women in their management are more competitive. So it's not just for the women, it's also for the company to be competitive.
Thank you. Thank you for the insights. And I was saying more than the podcast, thank you for the roads you've pathed for us, the integrity you've held. Your career and your life is one that is an example that one doesn't need to be shady or compromise one's integrity to make it. Sincerely appreciate it. Thank you for that.
And you sleep well at night.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, watch our other views, and let us know who else you'd like to hear from, and also if you can give us the messages you would like to give, the thank yous, the advice, or whatever it is, and we'll pass those messages on.
Thank you,
guys. Palatable Politics.